Diane DeBlois is going to start off the program. I guess I've introduced you.
I guess you have. Actually, the person who should be here and giving this brief introduction to the idea of the Ephemera Society as an embrace for philately is Dick Sheep. Richard Dana Sheep is a designer, a commercial designer, who has, hang on to your hat, he has designed over 500 United States stamps. So chances are you have seen his work a lot. And if you go to his website, which is a fabulous website, sheepephemera.com, you can see images of all the stamps that didn't make it, that are pretty funny too. But the great thing about the Ephemera Society, in many ways, is that from the very beginning, people who were philatelists were attracted to it. And thanks to a president many years ago who was with us, Siegel, and to another ex-president, Art Croton, we became an affiliate of the American Philatelic Society. And we've tried to have a presence within the hobby for many years. A lot of our members, from the very beginning in 1980, were accomplished philatelists. On our board of directors, there have been 4 Luff Award winners in research. Dick, who's been a great supporter from year one, is now on the board. And his experience with ephemera and philately is, I think, a nice little object lesson. For instance, 1986, to promote a stamp that honored stamp collecting, he produced this from what was on his desk. In fact, he jokes and he says, the USPS has paid him to design out of what already is just around in his house, all of his many collections. So look at this and try and imagine your desk slightly cleaned up, but with all of these many elements. There's stamps, there's covers, but there are all these little ephemeral bits that have some relation to whatever other things you're collecting. This is the stamp that he designed as part of a group with Sweden, the Ephemera of Collecting, and he says that he was inspired by this 1947 group of stamps that sort of showed the same kind of enthusiasm and tie-ins with popular culture. This is a good example of how he took a piece of ephemera and turned it into a postage stamp. So this is an 1880s trade card. There's also, by the way, a large poster, which is much more rare, that's very smooth. And the stamp in 2008 was to honor the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" song. So, as research for the stamp, he bought a 1908 piece of sheet music just to see whether there was something he could incorporate. So, here's the finished product, there's the stamp. Do you see the notes of the song in the bottom? And there on the right is what he used as inspiration. So that's one of his most direct transference. Here's one that's direct, but it also comes from a very deep collection he has. He's always been interested in this particular Match Medicine Revenue stamp. And there's a full sheet of the proof. Here he had the die proofs in all the colors, but I'm only showing you one. And he collected the postal history of the actual company that were proprietors of Hunt's Remedy. He collected the bottles and the packaging, and the wrappers, and the advertising, and photographs of the way that Mr. Moore promoted his Hunt's Remedy. This, by the way, is half of a stereopticon card. And things like a tin sign, and to show how people use the same image in different manifestations of advertising. Other trade cards, there's that same idea of a man beating off death with Hunt's remedy. And there's the trade card that he was most inspired by. And remember that image? There it is again in a periodical, and there's the stamp that he created from it. It's quite similar. And it was a stamp in 2006 for the centennial of the Pure Food and Drug Act, and then you collect the ephemera of the postage stamp itself. The USPS created a comic book that one page is where you could buy a stamp and put this in. And just to show that we ephemerists have a lot of fun, the stamp Catalan Storm that's supposed to be the most beautiful American stamp, well, this is what Dick did in terms of turning it into tie designs on silk. This is Dick himself in March at the annual meeting of the Ephemera Society. What he's showing is a 2003, what was called Prestige booklet. And he says that the hardest stamp to design is yet another flag stamp. There always has to be a flag stamp. Okay? And USPS wants a new one every so often. Well, what can you do? And he comes up with different ideas. So this was an idea of, you'll see, I think five different stamps. But to promote it, he brought together ephemera from his own collection and from other collections. So you can see the various kinds of things, sheet music and letterheads and postcards and larger items. There you can see the stamps. He hastens to add he does not own the Campbell Soup big tin sign, which is fabulous, but he borrowed that. And so you can see he has an amazing collection, a great love of collecting in all sorts of ways, and he has brought ephemera to philately and philately to ephemera. So he, I think, is our best inspiration for the marriage of these two collecting. And that is, very quickly, he also plays the guitar, and his son gave him that patriotic guitar strap that he incorporated into something for the USPS. So, that's the introduction.
Thank you, Diane. I hope you stay within the time limit.
I hope so.
Our presentations are basically 15 minutes each, and we'll be here